Welcome to another episode of the Off Market Operator. This is your host, Cole Ruud-Johnson. In this show today, I'm taking you on a journey through understanding that everyone's getting their ass handed to them right now, whether they put it online or not. That's the reality of it. And I'm talking you through how you can manage that, deal with that, and juggle everything that comes with rates and everything we're dealing with right now in the macro and micro real estate and economic environment. So without further ado, let's get right into the show. People don't fail at real estate because they suck. They fail because there's too many ways to succeed. That's why I suggest you focus on the most important skill in all of real estate, which is finding deals. I'm Cole Ruud-Johnson, and in this podcast, I share the exact steps I've used to source 400 deals by age 24. This will allow you to do three things: control your deal flow, make unlimited income, and build your empire as an off-market operator. Welcome to another episode. As I said in the intro, today I'm talking about getting your ass kicked. And it's the reality of business is you see people living a life and having a business that you want. What you don't see is the friction that got them there. And the friction's what creates the skill set. The friction it's what creates the direction in the business and the problems to solve. And I'll start the show with an example of why this is so important. Is I was at one of Brandon's Maui Mastermind events with kind of the OG group. This is the second event. So this was 2021. I want to say the first one was in 2019. And in 2021, there was a guy, Steve Sims, who came and spoke to the group in Maui. And Steve runs a company called Blue Fishing. You can look it up. It's a luxury concierge service. So if, Jeff Bezos decides he wants to get married to his current girlfriend in front of the Pope, he calls Steve. Steve makes it happen. So he's a luxury concierge. Another example is if you are a billionaire who took you and your wife are in Italy and you want to have dinner in a museum in front of your statue that you've always loved, he makes it happen. And so he's got an exposure to all these billionaires and creative minds and great entrepreneurs and owners of companies. And he gave us a story. He's become really good friends with Elon Musk. And he gave us a rundown of a situation where he was at the original, from what I remember from the story, he was at one of the original Tesla launches. Not Tesla, SpaceX launches. And he recounted a story of the fact that on a successful SpaceX launch, on a successful launch of a rocket, whatever their mission objective is for that individual mission, whatever a successful mission happens, Elon's pretty stone cold. But when there's a mission failure, when it fails, when it doesn't go as planned and there's issues, he is elated, because when the issues come up, when the friction comes up, that's when you get a clear view of what needs to be fixed. And I've started to train all my managers on this, of the understanding that business is waves, right? And in the middle of those waves is friction. And there's that period of stillness. There's that period of discernment. There's that period of awkwardness with your team, with your vendors and everything else. And one example of that is, for example, this is primarily a real estate podcast and sourcing off-market deals. So if you're an agent and you're a broker, for a fact, no matter how big you get, I have buddies of mine that, do the highest volume of flips in certain states. And then I have buddies who do 2 or 3 deals a month. And what I can tell you is whether you're doing hundreds of deals a year, millions and millions of dollars of transaction volume, or you're just starting out, you're doing 1, 2, 3 deals here and there, it doesn't really matter. You still have these waves and these periods of friction. And a wave is, to me, it's a period where you've solved certain friction points and you get a wave of revenue, a wave of good things happening to your business. And that might look like, you get to $500,000 a year in your real estate company. And, you have these friction points. It's you have to learn how to hire, how to train, how to delegate, how to become a leader, how to build systems and processes. Your friction point might be systems and processes. You solve that, you get this influx of capital, this influx of revenue, this influx of positivity into your company and culture and energy, and everyone's got momentum. And then all of a sudden you get this wave, this this lull. So excuse me. And that lull brings with it fear and anxiety and, employees quitting. And your job as a leader is during these lull periods, these friction periods, is to, one, solve those bottlenecks and friction points as quick as possible. But it's also to be there for your team, to keep them accountable, keep them headed the right direction. And so, because companies don't die when there's waves, companies die when there's friction, right? You look at even Facebook. They launched Threads. Threads crashes after having the biggest pop in users of all time of a social media app. Then it crashes and no one even talking about it. That's friction, right? They got this massive wave of, oh my goodness, we're crushing it. We got the next best written media app. And then all of a sudden, nothing. And that's the friction. That could be a real estate company. You go out and you hire an amazing acquisitions person. They crush $100,000 a month one. They get two big deals in the door. They make 15 grand. They bring in the company 85 grand. And you're thrilled, you're elated, they're happy, they're telling their wife they made the best decision ever joining your company. And then month two, there's that lull, that friction of lead flow slowed down and they didn't get that big deal. So they close 40 or 50 grand. Hard part about running a business is the mental side, right? It's not the mental side's easy when you're in a wave of momentum, when stuff's going well, when deals are closing, when the bank account's piling cash, when you just made the good hire, when your culture and your team has momentum. The part where you really embody being a leader is during those lulls, during those periods of friction. Like in this case, it would be month two when that sales manager's now done 40 grand. They only make 6 grand and your company doesn't make that much money off them. And where you start to get emotional, you start to get worried, fearful, and you can project that easily onto your team. And that's why a lot of people don't scale, is because everyone has their own complexity ceiling. And what a complexity ceiling is how much friction you can handle as an individual, and then how much friction your organization can handle together. But that all comes back to you as a leader and the systems and processes and things you put in place. And the reason that I call this episode "Getting Your Ass Kicked" because I get my ass kicked all the time. No matter how good or how big a business someone has, they get their ass kicked. It's like that Elon quote of running a business is like chewing on glass and learning to like it. That's the reality of it. You see the guys with the Lambos and all this kind of stuff. And a lot of times when you're in a positive wave of momentum in your business, things do feel like they're good. They do feel like you're on cloud nine. And Andy Frisella just put out something good about this where he's like, as a business owner, 90% of the time, you have no idea what you're doing. You feel like you're failing. 8% of the time, you have somewhat idea what you're doing and you think you might have a chance. 2% of the time, you feel like you're winning. And the guys that are posting clips of their new house and their Lambo, that's the 2% where they have a positive wave of momentum. They sold a business, they hired a good team member, and they got some cash in the bank. And you're seeing the fruits of that being shared with you, but they're not sharing the other 98%, which is the friction. It is the lulls. And no one talks about that. Everyone posts checks online, marketing it as revenue, not profit. An example of this is I saw a buddy post. He's honest. So he put a story out that was like, hey, I had $99,000 revenue on a $36,000 profit. So they had to pay out $60,000 for that. That's the reality of most deals you see online. But again, they're sharing the 2% with you, not the 98%, not the nights where they don't know if they can make payroll, which I still have. Everyone still had. No matter how big you get, you guys, if you have a lull and a major friction point, you still will have that period, because when you grow your business, you go from driving a simple speedboat where you can go left, right, or straight to a fighter jet where you have a ton of employees, a ton of buttons to push, to mess up, to play with. And one mistake can be very, very costly. A market shift can be very, very costly. And that's where people get caught with their pants down. It's understanding that you're always going to get your ass kicked. And so your job as a leader is to come to the table every single day with the emotional bandwidth for your team. Let them do the worrying, let them do the freaking out, and let them come to you as the backstop of the person that can settle them down and say, hey guys, this is another lull. This is another wave of friction. All we have to do is solve the most important bottleneck, and we'll have another wave of positivity. We'll close more deals. We'll have more capital. We'll fix these issues. And that's never going to stop. And that's why middle management and leaders in your company is so important, is because they become your moat and your separation between the day-to-day friction. So you can focus on higher level friction items, higher level partnerships, and growing the business and not worrying about the day-to-day friction that your managers can solve. So, this episode, guys, is really to bring back the fact that the market is changing. Rates have risen. It is ugly. There is blood in the streets, whether you guys hear it or not. I don't think it's been as bad as people expected, being over 8. Like right now, I think I'm recording this on October 4th. I believe we're over 8% on a 30-year fixed note right now, which is wild. We refinanced our house back in May. We got a 6.2%. I feel like we got robbed. And now I feel like it's an incredible rate. So rates are rising. Guys, I do know guys that are going out of business, that are struggling. That's the reality of it. There's weeks, moments, days that are tough for everyone. You get your ass kicked, and I get my ass kicked left and right. I woke up this morning with genuinely like, damn, I'm getting my ass kicked right now. But I smile and I look at, man, I like that. I like the ugliness. I like the temporary defeat, and I like being able to rally my team around a KPI and a goal and fixing what we're facing. But you guys don't get sold this dream, because if you guys are choosing to run a business, if you're in one of my programs, someone else's programs, I don't hard sell them, because it's a true fact. I want you to truly know internally if it's the right fit for you and what you want to do. That's why I don't sell courses, because courses don't do anything. It's the step-by-step implementation that actually helps you along going to where you want to go. So if you're watching this show, understand that it's a long journey business. It's not a 3-5 year game. The guys that get rich in 3 to 5 years, very small percentage of most of them lose it. That's the reality of it. And it's, you know, for a lot of people, it's a blessing they don't get rich quick because they have to build the skill set and foundations and bandwidth to be able to be the leader that can actually handle that amount of abundance of money. And opportunity. So this is an episode, you guys, just kind of, I wanted to ground everyone in the fact that the market's getting tough. If your deal flow is slowed down, it's normal. If your lead flow is slowed down, it's normal. I will say, I think right now this show is named off-market operator. And I think right now is the time to become an off-market operator because of the fact that if you can control your own pipeline, you can adjust and pivot with the rates and with the pricing and fluctuation a lot better, right? If the market shifted 10%, you can buy 10% more discounted. You might be buying less deals, yeah, but you can still bake in your profit and continue to operate your business. And that's what professionals, real estate professionals do versus amateurs. Amateurs only buy when the market's hot. Professionals buy year round. Sometimes they look like geniuses. Sometimes they look like they're stupid, but at the end of the day, they still buy right. So they're always okay. They will take haircuts on deals, but for the most part, they're always okay. So a little tangent, you guys. I want to get raw and vulnerable with you guys, but if you're getting your ass handed to you right now, it's okay. Look at what bottlenecks and friction points you can solve and ruthlessly attack them and continue to build more emotional bandwidth to deal with what you're dealing with. Great show today, you guys. One of my favorite shows to record. It's just raw and vulnerable and honest, and a lot of people aren't raw, vulnerable, or honest. And, you know, agents, investors, everyone's getting their ass handed to them right now in more ways than one. And that doesn't mean you can't make money. That doesn't mean you can't have success and grow your business. I think right now, like I talk about in the show, it is one of the best opportunities right now to become an off-market operator and to learn how to build your own pipeline. Without further ado, you guys, as always, please leave me a like, a review, a share, DM me. I do listen to your feedback on these shows, and I try to improve them week by week. We're also going to be doing another run of guest appearances soon, so please reach out if you know any guests that would be a good fit. But as always, you are only one deal away.